In 1986, Nintendo would introduce homes to a small golden cartridge containing the original Legend of Zelda for the NES. Over the last 40 years, the series has persisted and evolved, causing ripples we can see in gaming to this day. Before Zelda, most games had a simple idea: arcade-style, score-focused dopamine rushes. But the series' creator and director Shigeru Miyamoto saw an opportunity to trust the players, to allow a game to reintroduce the feeling of childhood exploration, wandering forests, discovering caves, and finding the unexpected. This led to a shift in how progression would be handled. They could no longer just rely on a score-based system to capture the feeling they were wanting to express. While the original game did provide a scoreboard and plenty of enemies to kill, those who were willing to look a little bit deeper would find caves and dungeons, which would lead to new enemies and new caves and new dungeons, which would then lead to new items to complete those new dungeons, and eventually The Legend of Zelda took an opportunity to turn gaming into a journey. Players had the opportunity to explore a new world with secrets hidden just out of sight. Not to say the series had reached any level of lore or character development yet, but a premise was set: save the princess from the then Prince of Darkness, Ganon. This bare-bones story allowed for the heavy lifting to be done by the player's imagination. I believe this is why we hear the idea that Link is a silent protagonist. It's because he began as one, a sprite players could attach themselves to in order to immerse themselves in the adventure. In 1998, Nintendo would do it again. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time didn't just move the series into 3D, it rewrote the rulebook. Things like Z-targeting became the foundation for modern lock-on combat. Cinematic camera framing elevated the storytelling. The blend of exploration and puzzle solving influenced nearly every third-person action game that followed. From Dark Souls to God of War 2017 to Witcher 3, the DNA is there. While their first swing at putting Link in a 3D environment hit it out of the park, Nintendo wasn't satisfied. Zelda challenges itself with every entry. After introducing the blueprints for developers to create 3D worlds with things like Z-targeting or the sheer scale of which Ocarina of Time was operating on, they knew they needed to innovate. Majora's Mask fine-tunes everything from Ocarina of Time. As its immediate follow-up, it uses many of the same assets and isn't visually much more stunning than its original. However, it introduces so many mechanics and ideas that I can't list them all, but most notably the use of masks and the 3-day system. The masks provided a way for Nintendo to tell a deeper story through symbolism. Each mask has a meaning or something it represents, and the 3-day time limit makes you feel like every moment counts, even if they were able to remedy its true effect through other mechanics. Wind Waker embraced cell shading when realism was expected following the jump in quality to Ocarina of Time. However, it still allowed players to sail the seas of a flooded Hyrule, which allowed for yet again the same feeling of freedom and agency players felt in the first entry. Twilight Princess leaned into darker tones. This game's version of Hyrule is much more familiar, but we're allowed to see the effect the plot of the game is having on the environment, really driving home to the player that they are the hero the kingdom needs. Twilight Princess also explores a ton of Link's arsenal of items. These range from weapons and combat techniques to ways to explore this version of Hyrule. Everything these games do different from each other expand on the foundation set by both the original 1986 title and Ocarina of Time. Zelda's influence isn't only limited to its mechanics, but it also helped shape some of the more popular story archetypes, like that of a silent hero, or the battle between light and darkness spanning generations, or special chosen weapons that become iconic to the series. By the time Breath of the Wild was announced, Zelda was in need of a revival. There hadn't been a mainline title since Skyward Sword. Nintendo had the base for an amazing game, but knew the same rinse and repeat dungeon puzzle game wouldn't quite work in today's gaming environment. While holding on to the principle of providing a world to explore, they decided to truly take Hyrule back to its roots. Just like the very first entry in the series, Breath of the Wild would provide a landscape and a story for the player to indulge themselves in. But how and when they saw the events within the world were up to them. This again revolutionized gaming, providing a new blueprint on how to maximize player engagement in open open world games. We saw a shift in the industry as titles like Genshin Impact or Enshrouded took this blueprint and made it their own. Through time, Zelda has proved itself to be a powerhouse of the industry. Each entry feels like it's at least attempting to improve on the past, never feeling derivative but instead inventive, acting as a monolith for other games to become inspired by and an icon of innovation in gaming. After 40 years, Zelda has cemented itself as one of Nintendo's most popular franchises, but even so, there was no new news regarding any new titles or trailers for the movie on its anniversary. Do better, Nintendo.